In 1976, cartoonist Jim Davis created a tiny little comic strip to be printed locally, known as John. Some years after, he achieved syndication just like he wanted, rebranding the comic strip to Garfield. The strip was headlined by the titular cat, a fat, lazy little shit who loves lasagna and hates Mondays. This, of course, was found to be incredibly relatable, and the character's popularity grew quickly across the United States. Not only because most Americans are overweight and love their layered foods, but because the comic strip focused on the ins and outs of pet ownership, albeit in a humorous and relatable way. The comic strip would eventually be translated and published all over the world, with the Garfield character becoming quite recognizable, at least it was back then. Fast forward to now when the character, while well known, is not typically a household name. Be honest with me, how often do you have conversations about comic strips? Probably not that often. Regardless, the franchise has seen a lot of success. It spanned across all kinds of media, including TV shows and movies. And yes, even the terrible CGI ones. The less said about those, the better. The success of the franchise led to the inevitable experimentation of the intellectual property. Jim Davis was always happy to license the character to people or businesses for a nice lump sum of cash, of course. The character would resonate quite well with a particular would-be business mogul, Nathen Mazri, real name Eamon L. Mazri, an eccentric man with a very wealthy father. He previously attended university in Quebec before returning to Dubai to try his hand at big business. Unsurprisingly, he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps in business. This didn't exactly go according to plan. Nathen is, without a doubt, a very unusual businessman, donning an orange suit and an affinity for low-quality cappuccinos. He would invest an incredible amount of money to acquire a license for the Garfield IP in hopes of creating the next big business venture, a truly revolutionary and groundbreaking concept. Get this, a novelty restaurant and shop themed around Garfield. I mean, what's not to love? Lasagna that has Garfield branding on it? Shit, I should have pulled all my money out of the bank so I could buy stock in this up-and-coming startup. The aforementioned shop would go by the name Love Me, Feed Me, Don't Leave Me. Now you're probably saying, hey, wait a minute, I thought the name of the restaurant was GarfieldEats. Well, it turns out that's actually the tagline, but everybody referred to the tagline as the name because it made more sense. The first location for this genius business would be Dubai of all places. This is also the only location that would have orange specially made jumpsuits with Garfield branding for the delivery workers. The business operated solely off of electronic payments and delivery, most likely through services like Uber Eats or the equivalent. I'm not too sure if there's anything different out there in Dubai. There was, however, a GarfieldEats app. Jim Davis promoted this application, designed not only to sell you Garfield-branded food, but merchandise as well, alongside allowing you to play some very basic games and watch a few cartoons. There was also a premium currency referred to as Paws, because everything needs a premium currency, right? Anyway, this app was supposed to be groundbreaking and supposedly entergaging. It's supposed to be a mix of entertaining and engaging. But hey, fuck the English language, that shit don't matter anyways. Everything in the store was orange, because, you know, Garfield. The drinks were orange, the food was definitely orange, the walls, and most definitely the urine that was still in the public urinal. And the food! Ugh, god, the food, it's not good. The pizzas look anemic, the carrot drinks were just fucking disgusting, and the cappuccinos the Garfuccinos, they were just strong. They didn't really taste of anything but just, bitterness. There was supposedly quite a few reports of the food having a strange odor and making people sick. It's probably just from really low quality food that's made by people that aren't passionate about their job. Like, let's be realistic. Are you going to enjoy your job working at a dead-end place that happens to be branded with Garfield shit? It was probably pretty demoralizing, and they didn't give a shit about anything they did. Not to mention, the upper management probably didn't care either. Altogether, you'd have this product that just wasn't good. But then again, if it smells really bad and it's making people sick, it's probably just loaded up with grease. It's so hard to fuck up Italian food. Why did they have to do this? Also, I'd like to raise a very simple question. Who the fuck is drinking carrot juice while eating pizza? What a terrible combination. I can't imagine eating some slop like that. So if you weren't sold on a restaurant that had no tables and did only delivery, what if I told you they went green? Now I know, of course, they're painted orange, but hear me out. Nathen had a brilliant idea. What if the boxes and packaging were eco-friendly? You know, like you take the pizza box, you pop a hole in it, and there you go, now you've got a tissue holder. Except now it's just a tissue holder with no tissues in it, and it's probably full of pizza grease, and probably bacteria, things you don't really want to put in your nose. But the idea was nice, so I can't really fault him for that. Anyway, despite being the co-owner of GarfieldEats, the other owner being Pascal Hyder, but he's not all that important, Nathen was all over the marketing. His face was right up there with Garfield's. He wanted you to eat at his fucking restaurant, damn it. He really did just come off as full of himself. He had to be in all the advertisements, he had to be at every lunch, he wanted people to know that he was a big shot. He was the big motherfucker that was taking this cat global. Well, you know, despite the fact that Garfield was already known worldwide. There's a good chance he might have been playing a satirized version of himself, a character if you will. But with just how aggressively he's been doing this, and for how long, I would say he's probably not playing a character. That or he's the best method actor we've ever seen. He's dedicated to his role. The reason why I don't think it's 100% legit is because if people would leave negative reviews, he'd usually either pay to have them removed or respond to them himself. His responses would always accuse people of lying in their reviews, saying that it's a targeted harassment campaign or a bunch of trolls on the internet. What kind of sensible businessman would do something like that? You're not going to entice them by yelling at the people that disagree with you. Just from the outside looking in, this business just doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense. The Garfield comic strip does not make me hungry. Nathen does not make me think of Garfield. Furthermore, why do I have to think of the business owner if I want some Garfield pizza? Not to mention that the launch location of Dubai just seems so strange. Why wouldn't you launch something like this in, I don't know, maybe California, maybe somewhere on the west or east coast of America? Hell, even Indiana would make sense, since it's the birth state of Garfield and Jim Davis. See, that's big brain thinking. That's using the old noodle. I should have came up with this business years ago. I'd be a billionaire by today. Being the intelligent and seasoned businessman that he is, Jim Davis saw quite an opportunity here. Nathen would operate the biggest part of the operation, like marketing, PR, general management, and all that fun shit, while Jim most likely focused on the mobile app. I'd imagine that there really is no losing in this scenario for Mr. Davis. Someone pays for a license for his intellectual property. He profits from the paw microtransactions. His brand name gets a bit of resurgence because of how bizarre the restaurant idea is, yada yada yada. In this instance, I just can't see any sort of bad publicity for him. This business venture must have seemed like a great idea to the people involved, or at least to Nathen, because he supposedly planned to have 200 more GarfieldEats locations in 200 different cities by 2025. Well, it's 2022 now, and I haven't seen an increase of them, so I'm going to guess that probably didn't work. The fact that I don't have an ugly orange storefront in my city really brings my piss to a boil. Anyway, we should move on to some of the events in this business's lifespan.
And I think that Garfield is Arab, Chinese, American, French.
The Toronto storefront, which may have actually been the most infamous location for GarfieldEats, had its soft opening on June 21st, 2019, with the actual launch on the following day. This specific location would be the most notorious and receive the most coverage from online news sources and interested individuals on the internet. The internet loves fat cats, so why wouldn't they love this? The Toronto location was immediately blasted with scrutiny by people who tried the food due to their morbid curiosities. Social media influencers and content creators went out of their way to try the disgusting slop that Nathen just shit into their to-go boxes. And unsurprisingly, the overall reception to the restaurant was somewhere between negative and incredibly confused. Nobody seemed to get the place. Nobody understood why Garfield had to be attached to such mediocre food. Online reviewers that had controversial things to say would find themselves being ridiculed by Nathen in the replies, or the reviews would just magically disappear. People noticed this and hammered down on the business even harder, which quite frankly I think is deserved. On July 9, 2020, a press release was put out by the Ontario location that encouraged struggling businesses to flip, or rather desecrate, their properties into new GarfieldEats locations. This was supposedly to save the businesses and spread the reach of the comic strip character. I don't understand how this was supposed to help anybody when the locations that already existed certainly weren't doing as good as Nathen had hoped, but he's too prideful to admit that. However, the release did mention that a majority of the profits come from the merchandise rather than the food, which seems kind of counterproductive for, you know, a restaurant. GarfieldEats Ontario flipping most closing restaurants. Look into the abyss no more. Garfield to the rescue, one lasagna at a time. On behalf of GarfieldEats, co-founder Nathen Mazri announces today that the company will be looking to take over any troubled pizza restaurant or other restaurant/ghost kitchens hurt by COVID-19, given the increasing number of shutdowns in Ontario. GarfieldEats will take over all qualified restaurants across Ontario territory, from rebranding to operations. The restaurant owners may be hired if qualified to operate the newly flipped GarfieldEats business in order to keep their jobs and livelihoods. Nathen says, "Jim Davis always told me to take care of the cat and the cat will take care of you, but it seems the cat will be taking care of the fast food and restaurant industry entirely. It hurts me to see the entrepreneurs, especially young ones, lose their dream business or jobs in this shifting, uncertain industry, and Garfield and I want to help." GarfieldEats has embraced the shifting mobile cluttered app economy by developing their own Garfield apps to watch, play, order, and collect, and much more, calling it an Entergaging experience than traditional restaurant apps where you order and check out only. They only have the digital infrastructure to meet the new industry tech trends of today and actively researching and partnering with food preparation robotic companies. The cat is far ahead than many other restaurants. The main revenue generator that drives the food sales are the merchandise. No other restaurant like Garfield can appeal to the customer in regard to merch, which bring their average ticket sales to about $55 rather than $15 like McDonald's and other traditional fast food chains from the 50s. This strategy has saved the company during COVID-19 according to Pascal Hayter. On May 20th, 2020, the landlord of the Toronto location locked everybody out of the store because of rent issues. Mazri pushed out a press release on May 22nd titled "Unempathetic Landlord Locks Our Favorite Cartoon-Themed Restaurant During COVID-19. A Canadian Landlord Destroys Young Entrepreneurship." Basically, it was just Nathen stroking his ego and flexing his irrelevant social media following. The landlord is also painted as someone who just fucking hates Garfield. GarfieldEats, world's first Garfield-themed restaurant known for Garfield-shaped pizzas, big lasagnas, and Garfuccino coffee in Toronto with a pop-up store at 995 Bloor Street West that is turned into a nightmare for the beloved cat and the young founder Nathen Mazri, who is also a social media influencer in entrepreneurship with over 115,000 followers and advocates against homelessness. Garfield has entertained the world for 41 years, and a heartless landlord has shown no form of appreciation for the beloved cartoon. How could he possibly claim to be an influencer when most people have no idea who he is? Nathen is only known for the GarfieldEats restaurants, and even then, most people haven't even heard of that shit. This is more of him just trying to measure his cock for everybody to see, as if anybody actually cares.
There you go, bravo. That's people's ambitions. Licking asses, licking holes. Lastizi. That's what people look. This is exactly what we need in life.
It's a shame that GarfieldEats comes off as a giant ego-stroking operation for Nathen, because none of the forms of this business seems to ever actually get anything right. Nothing ever seems to line up just how he wants it. Because not only was the food laughable to say the least, but apparently ordering Garfield-themed merchandise was pathetically difficult as well. Quentin Reviews, someone I do plan to cover in a video someday, attempted to purchase a large Garfield plush from Mazri's business, but it just didn't quite go as planned. Apparently sending a plush Garfield, your mascot, is just too hard for Nathen to figure out. Now please bear with me while I try to read through some of Quentin's tweets regarding the matter, alright? I bought a big Garfield plush from GarfieldEats, personally talked to their CEO about getting it delivered, fought for weeks to get it delivered, and it's sand. There's nothing in the box but sand. It's like sand for a child's castle playset. What the hell? Yo, what the fuck? GarfieldEats replied, oh, this is a wrong shipment made by UPS. As you can see, the weight registered is 59 pounds. Your sand is 25 pounds. Nathen Mazri called to inform you of the status out of courtesy. Nathen got an apology by UPS at 6:30 p.m. EST. You also did get merch from us before. I just got off the phone with GarfieldEats, and the wonderful woman who I've been working with was so puzzled and confused. So according to our tracking, your package arrived. What is your problem with the order? It's sand. It's sand? Yes. It basically ended with her saying, I'm gonna have to call you back. And then GarfieldEats just showed off a Garfield plush they had, and Quentin quote tweeted it saying, feel like shit, just want my boy. I'm starting to think he might have a little bit of a proclivity for Garfield. Guess we'll have to find out in the future. I hate bureaucracy so much. Garfield Eats and UPS can't agree on who made the mistake, and Garfield Eats can't do anything until I make a UPS case, and they won't make me a case file until I send them 700 photos of this stupid box, but the email has a size limit so I can't send the photos. UPS made me take 100 photos of the sandbags in different places, and I had to carry them everywhere, and now my back hurts. I just wanted a really big Garfield. I flew too close to the sun, and now I face the repercussions. Now, while it's absolutely terrible that he received sand instead of getting the Garfield plush that he wanted, I do gotta ask, why does he want the plush so bad? You're a grown-ass man. Spend your money on shit that makes sense. Leave the plushies to the kids. Come on. Additionally, if the sand is only 25 pounds, carrying it around isn't going to be a big deal. That doesn't actually weigh much. But the 59-pound Garfield plush wouldn't be a problem, right? This Quentin guy seems a little unusual. I guess we will have to come back to him someday. But alas, even with all the problems we mentioned, Nathen was dedicated to his business. So dedicated that when the Toronto location finally closed, he was still going to keep fighting and pushing forward to keep his baby alive. Garfield Eats was going 100% digital, a fully electronic storefront, an online Garfield food and merch surplus store. The internet loves cats, and Garfield is a cat too, so surely this will work out, right? It doesn't.
I encourage you to come by McDonald's and buy an order of fries. It's called...
I encourage you to open the fucking province up and stop eating fries. Look at yourself, for God's sake. So we can all go back to McDonald's and eat just like you.
Garfield Eats closed its storefront last Monday. We hate Mondays anyways, but aggressively continues with its e-commerce operation selling merchandise and frozen big cow lasagnas, only which you can throw in the oven anytime, removing all other menu items and specializing in lasagna, one popular product everyone loves. So has Garfield since 1978. The restaurant wrote in a press release, "No landlord can take that recipe away from us. Who needs another brick and mortar anyways? No one is looking to open up, but rather work digitally and smarter." Well, that's okay. I'm sure everybody's just gonna be so fucking happy to get their Garfield shit delivered right to their door instead of going out and commuting and actually helping their local economy. This online store would continue for a while until the new owners of Garfield, Viacom, who acquired the Orange Little Shit Mac in 2019, stopped correspondence with Nathen. From what I understand, and bear with me because I'm not 100% sure of this, the owners of the intellectual property were incredibly distant with Nathen, refusing to talk to him or leaning on to him for a change of business practices in some way. Nathen, despite being the brilliant man behind the Entergaging electronic storefront, just couldn't keep up. He closed the virtual doors when the pressure became too much for him, and he made a video giving a farewell to Garfield Eats in a rather passive-aggressive manner.
Thank you, Nickelodeon and Viacom CBS, for this amazing Christmas gift. Bang on.
This wouldn't be the end for Mr. Mazri, however, because his brain is just too big for these mega corporations. He's gonna fight back the only way he knows how, with fucking lasagna. Introducing GarfieldEats, a totally original, non-recycled business venture that is branded with the lovable talking dog Scooby motherfucking Doo.
For those who don't know me, I'm the founder of Scooby-Doo Eats, the world's first Scooby-Doo food distribution and Entergaging virtual shopping experience.
From Angus patties to questionable hot dogs and everyone's favorite big cow lasagnas, Nathen's got it all figured out. Scooby is still relevant enough, right? Surely this will do better than the last one. Oh wait, fuck, never mind. When I go to ScoobyDooEats.com, I'm greeted by a page that says the site is no longer available, which is pretty funny because when I first started researching Nathen, I found the site and it was actually pretty usable, all things considered. What a shame, man. I wanted to order some of the big cow lasagna for myself and see just how bad it is. It's so messed up, man. An up-and-coming entrepreneur just got his shit pushed in by outside sources. Again. But before we end all of this, let's take a little read of the text on the back of Nathen's own book, Arab Biolysis. Nathen Mazri has become like a prisoner for injustice, like a soldier fighting for his life, and like a survivor thriving out of the kingdom for his freedom. All Nathen wanted was to feel alive. Nathen, a young Arab-Canadian man, is leaving Laval in the French province of Quebec with his family to settle in a soon-to-be-discovered a tyrannical kingdom of Arabia in the middle of the desert, sinking his soul in monotony, an unspoken epidemic, and defeated by suppression for over 12 years of his life, lingering with broken dreams, scoliosis, sexual identity crisis. bipolar disease, and the struggle to claim true elusive love. The most shocking revelation never been told before. Destiny is all-knowing, all mysterious, putting Nathen's will to succeed and survive as a thinking species rather than a feeling species into test. This self-help memoir will empower you with the laws to self-reflection, self-awareness, and self-introspection involving critical thinking even under the most suppressed circumstances, as these are the golden keys of life. The evolution of science and technology has unfortunately turned the Homo sapiens from a thinking species into a feeling species. And the book, of course, was published by Author House, which prints pretty much anything. If you have enough money in a book, they'll print it, no problem. But I think that's going to be the end for today's video. If you like what I do, leave a comment, rate, and subscribe. If you want to support me in a more personal way, you can check out the Patreon link and the Teespring link in the description. I've got new merch available, including new stickers and masks, and more are on the way. But as always, I've got more content coming down the pipeline. But until then, I'll see you degenerates next time.